And we are live. We are live. We are live.
Hello, America.
Yeah. Cold open. We were talking about
back.
racism.
We were.
Or anti-Semitism.
And misunderstandings of audience reactions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Strange
And
reactions. This is a... What?
And not the anti-Semitism where I obviously say free Palestine and all that. And that's going to be, now it's weird and different because fucking racism is crazy. Like, if you, for all those who don't know.
Like, let's I think that's a good note to start on.
Thrives on hypocrisy and double standards, so.
Yeah. I mean, anti-Semitism's coming in there in this theme, in this episode when we talk about this.
Yeah, because we were talking about beforehand if we got to address certain things. So, might as well get right into it, right?
Sure.
Okay.
So be the intro.
All right.
I guess if we're gonna keep the order going,
yes.
What did y'all know about the movie beforehand, and then we'll talk about what we were talking about before.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Ian, you go first. What did you know about the movie before?
So I had known that Robert Eggers wanted to make this movie for a very long time.
Did he really? Okay.
It's been a project he's talked about since the very first movie, The Witch, when I was first made aware of his work. Okay. And I honestly, the only other thing I had known was that he had actually done a stage adaptation of this before as a part of like one of his graduate theses. So he has.
This comes off very film student-y.
Yeah,
this film, because a lot of it's like recreating shot for shot.
Yeah.
Some shit.
Yeah.
In the best way possible, because I mean it's a beautiful movie. But sorry, go on. You just
but yeah. So he's had a version of this story, I think, rattling in his head for a while now. I just recently afterward learned that I guess Robert had watched the VHS of the classic Nosferatu like pre-middle school several times. So this is probably something that he sat with for a while. That's mostly what I like. And so the expectations were high. I'd seen his other movies. I was pretty confident this was gonna crush, and it crushed. But go ahead, guys. What do you think? What did you know?
What did I know beforehand? I mean, I've seen the original Nosferatu, but I was a kid. I was like middle school. There's not a lot I remember, so a lot of it is just the images that are kind of famous. The shadow, the claw, the rising from the bottom, and also knowing kind of like power levels, right? In a weird anime sense, like who would be stronger, Dracula or Nosferatu? And there's an argument that it's like, well, Nosferatu's closer to like sorcery and like plague, like it's the plague as we kind of point out here.
Yes.
But if there was like a mono, it's like Dracula every day type deal.
Okay.
But it's dumb conversations that come up.
Yeah.
I liked Eggers. What was, oh my god, the Norseman. That was a movie before, right? The
Awesome movie.
Yeah.
Great movie. I love. I'm a huge, for people who've been listening to all our stuff for a long time, have kind of picked up that I'm really into like Norse mythology. And I swear to God, it's not in the white power way as it got it. We're working really fucking hard to get that back, you guys. I swear to God.
Yeah.
So I know, like, I do like a lot. Oh, go ahead.
What?
No, I say if they weren't so blonde and big, Chris, you'd probably have an easier time.
I know.
Yeah, man, that's what it'd be. If it wasn't like power metal,
we should just go back to just shitting our pants and shitting the dirt,
Yeah,
man.
I like, and I really like the Northman. One, because it's based off the myth, but also it takes it pretty liberally, and it's a new perspective on it.
Yeah,
which in that film to me is all about like perception in like certain situations and how that turns to vengeance and essentially causes like a warring within type deal. A lot. I know that sounds kind of vague, but I mean, like, there's a lot. We're not doing that movie yet. But if I had to
Yes.
give one word, I think it's a lot about perception of
Mm.
situations.
Mhm.
Which that's 3 words. Whatever. Anyway, so I know vampires. I know
Yeah.
Nosferatu. I was super excited for this movie. I thought it was going to be all in black and white. I don't know where I got that from,
Mhm.
but that's what I was thinking when I came in before I saw a trailer.
Mhm.
But what they do is like a lot more interesting and fun than making the entire movie black and white.
Yeah.
It adds a lot to the atmosphere. Nick, what'd you know about this movie before going?
Well, I guess same with you. You know, I'm familiar with the director's work. I was like really into even his short films back in the day when he did like Telltale Heart or
Mhm.
I didn't watch these.
he's done adaptations of known folklore for a bit, like Hansel and Gretel.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, and like
Oh my god.
you know, Lighthouse, Given, you
Yeah.
know, and after that, Northman. Absolutely loved it. You know, in terms of Nosferatu, same with Chris. I watched at a young age, and then I actually rewatched it before watching this movie.
Oh sweet.
Oh, did you really? Yeah, I should have done that.
Oh yeah, it's on like free domain,
Yeah.
like it's everywhere.
Yeah,
But
no, it's a free domain movie. It's like 100 years old.
Yep.
yeah,
like now or something.
rewatch SpongeBob for that. No,
Yeah.
That one clip. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't understand that joke, but yeah, no, I mean in terms of knowing some of the actors, that's all I knew. Like I didn't know, I didn't see a trailer. Everyone just word of mouth said it's good and saw a poster, and that's at least the film itself. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Faux show. Okay. So knowing, yeah, so one of the big things being we're all fans of
Hmm.
the director.
Definitely.
So know that going in to our takes of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about let's get into the climax of the podcast.
Mhm.
And let's talk about the racism bit. So for those who don't know, or anti-Semitism bit, which is
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So those who don't know, there's like a discussion going on. I'll go, you know what? It's been a minute since I dipped my toes in to see where it's at.
Sure.
Where like vampires maybe shouldn't be as celebrated as possible because they come from a place they rely on a bunch of stereotypes for Jewish people.
Right.
Nick, your screen froze and it froze at the exact right moment. Perfect moment.
When he was
Yeah. Oh, now you're back.
Okay.
So no, it comes from a lot of that. A lot of the elongated
No, yeah.
nose,
Mhm.
balding back hair,
Yeah.
decrepit skin. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Rat-like features, vermin qualities.
Rat-like
Yeah.
features, association with vermin, rats and bats.
Property ownership.
Well, money, greed. Greed is a huge
Yeah, I know.
driver
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the first act of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though it's
Deceiving
kind of more
British.
subdued. Like,
Yeah.
they're not explicitly saying money. Like, they're going, like, it is a business. This is all business. You need to do business, and you're gonna get money
Yeah.
to set you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And messing with British businessmen, and then they just ride that home for the rest of the century.
Yeah. My favorite part is when it says Germany and everyone's in a British accent.
That's funny.
Yes,
But it's like British businessman trying to
Yeah. No, they're all German. They all have German names, I think. Like it's that's like my only complaint really with the movie.
Oh, okay.
That's my like only real big complaint is that because it comes off really funny. Like I know why they're doing it because that's what everyone associates with like old Europe, right?
Right.
If it's a bunch of German accents, people are not going to take it seriously, and that fucking sucks. Like that like that's fucking booty. That we can't do that.
I thought it was like they were British, like people from London trying to like do business in Germany.
In Germany? No, I don't know, dude. Everyone's speaking a British accent, like in that movie, except for the people from Transylvania.
Nosferatu, yeah.
Yeah.
Nosferatu.
Yes. It. Oh gosh. I mean, yeah. let's actually dig into that. I
Let's
guess
go back.
because one of the thoughts when we were talking about like the qualities of vampires necessarily being kind of associated, like I mean, there's several other things in the medium that started out there, and I think have kind of come down in an evolution that's I understand the root of it, but
Okay.
it's also, do you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking of like the jungle adventure in general
Yeah.
tends to fall into some version of the colonialist idea of there used to be white
Civilized.
people who built
Yeah.
amazing things in the dark continent,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and not being able to perceive like native people as intelligent enough to do a bunch of cool, impressive stuff.
Or
Same,
just to like, sorry, go ahead.
just to say, same for the ancient like aliens and stuff kind of thing. Like that all circles in kind of the same pond, I would say. But
Yeah.
I don't know that everybody who likes Indiana Jones, you know what I mean, is like of a colonialist mindset. But there is a
Yeah.
through line that you should acknowledge. Is maybe where I'm at.
Yeah, that's no. I get you. We're not saying everyone who watches this certain thing is like,
No. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
man, yeah,
Yeah.
it's super against Jewish people.
So
But it is a thing of like you have to know where the roots come from,
Yes.
yeah,
and
no,
hopefully
yeah.
we can keep slowly changing things for the better,
Yeah.
or not even
Yeah.
slowly. Like we should know, like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be like doing the stereotype and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They kind the what the film does though, they kind of move on from it, like after a
Mm-hmm.
while, and it becomes just straight Victorian horror, like no
Yeah.
question, pretty quickly. But there is
Yeah.
that thing, the foundational base, and maybe it's an acknowledgement to where the vampire thing comes in. But granted, I don't think they do much with it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it starts with a pursuit of greed,
Mm-hmm.
like and money. Granted, like the kind of situation back then, it's like, yeah, dude, there's a thin line between being on in the worst caste of society and maybe
Yeah.
living to your 30s.
Yes. Yes.
So, like,
Mhm.
I think that there's definitely, because well, let me give it a compliment to dig deeper into what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Was I will say that I think Nosferatu is maybe one of if not the most accurate adaptations of the Stoker novel. Like there's a bunch of details
yeah,
from
weird
Bram
enough,
Stoker.
even though he did not write Nosferatu, right? It was a German.
Right. It was a German guy who had written the movie in 1922.
Yeah.
But it was just it's basically the plot of Dracula with the names changed because he couldn't get the rights to
Yeah.
do
Wait, sorry, real quick. Isn't Nosferatu a novel too? Am I crazy?
Is it? I don't know if it is a.
I'll check real quick. You keep going.
I believe it was written by Heinrich Gallen, who was an Austrian, expressionist guy. But
Yeah.
Nosferatu, I believe, originally is just a getting around the rights of doing Dracula, kind of. He changed some stuff.
Yeah. Okay, my bad. I misunderstood. So the film is like an unauthorized adaptation.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
My bad. No, I had the.
Yeah.
I thought there was a book that didn't exist.
No,
I mean, it's a genuine confusion. Like, I mean, it's not the craziest leap. Like, yeah,
no,
Yeah.
not at all.
it's weird.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's weird that the bootleg is the enduring legacy. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Actually, well,
so-
no, that's weird. I would say, I don't know, because how much has Nosferatu been known until like the SpongeBob thing came back, like brought it back, right?
I mean,
In the show, and then the meme
like-
brought it back. It wasn't there. He's not used because vampires became like sexy,
yes,
and that's more based off of the original like Bram Stoker thing.
yes.
Where Nosferatu's like clearly a monster.
Well,
You go
here's
ahead.
two themes that I would take from Stoker that I think the movie does
Yeah.
get. One is, and this may even tie into the anti-Semitism thing all neatly, but one is
Yeah.
like oh, you don't want to have sex with those people. Do you want them to
Yeah.
touch our women? You know, there's a vein of that in the novel of, oh, these immigrants who come with terrible diseases from a backwater part of the planet, et cetera, et cetera. And the other part that was happening at the exact same time in the 1890s was like suffrage. And so like women's sexuality and liberation is very threatening. And I'd say that those are two
Yeah,
themes.
that's very much explored in this movie.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into the ending because I've thoughts about that.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's weird because you have to acknowledge these things. Like we said,
Yes.
there's a lot of because all the vampires too are rich counts that are hoarding money and living forever.
Yes, off
thing.
the blood of the innocent, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, off the blood. Yeah, exactly. And there's a cool moment in this movie that I didn't even think about too much until recently.
Mhm.
I think as we were doing this,
Mhm.
when he actually makes it to Transylvania, or like the base of the Alps,
Mm-hmm.
and he just happens upon an inn that's being occupied by gypsies at the time.
Yes.
Which gypsies for their actual term of use versus what it became as a race. Man, history's fucked up if y'all ever read that shit. And about like just what words mean anymore. But there's a great moment where they're all kind of just like laughing at it. Like it creates this great isolation for the character.
Mm-hmm.
And to make you feel that kind of like loneliness he's feeling at that moment, or like how alien he must feel.
Yeah.
But the very fact that he gives a voice to them, because they're translated instead of just like words without a translation.
Right. Yeah.
And it's them going like, "What are you doing here, foreigner?"
Yeah.
Like, is pretty cool. Like, I know it's a small moment, but I think it's a great little piece of that.
I'll say that Edgar's does do things for movie snobs who are watching, where like he's absolutely doing the work to counter some of it. Like in traditional Gothic novel, like the Mina character, her name is Nell something, I think.
Hang on.
Lily Rose Ellen. When she has her like epileptic kind of fits, like in every other version of this, in the traditional version of this, it is her husband's responsibility to come back and rescue her and resolve this, and the men to solve it.
Yeah.
But she is ultimately the mechanism of all agency in the story. So
she's the main character.
She's the main character. Yeah.
2/3 of the movie.
Yeah. So I mean, I will say that like Edgar's is an intelligent guy, and he knows about these tropes. And I think that he's very deliberate with the way he's using them. He's not doing it cavalierly. He's, just to kind of say, like, that's maybe going to be one of the things I'm most impressed with at the end of this. There's so many great things about Nosferatu, but to go into those, kind of touchy areas and then be able to come out and say, like, yeah, he handled that really well. Yeah, I think he handled them all really well. Truthfully, that's my opinion on it. But yeah,
no, I'm with you on that. Because it's kind of the reason we wanted to get it out of the way at the beginning. Because we do, I feel like I got the consensus that we all think that that he came out like really well at the end. Yeah. But he's good at acknowledging that past, I think.
Oh yeah, so talented. Yeah,
because there is a method here where you can do where like you don't acknowledge any of that. It's all new, but that's not what he obviously is not what he wanted the movie to be. He wanted the movie to be like really close to the original, while also towards the end it's his own flair on everything.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so having said all that, good movie.
Yeah,
I like that movie. I was into that shit. Sexy.
Very much, very sexy. Oh my god, I can't.
That movie. Fuck, dude. Do I want to do this joke now? I'm gonna do this joke now. That movie is about a toxic couple and how they keep bringing their shit into everyone else's lives.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
to the point where the country has to die.
Now, I'll take it the other way. This
Yeah.
story,
Oh, yeah. Everyone else has to get out of their way. Is that weird?
this is a classic romance. A
that
passion
man,
that will
that man
destroy the
loses his
world.
wife, his 2 kids, and I'm with him. He's like, yeah, dude, he has been showing generosity the entire time. And the moment where she's like, the one thing I think I think this movie does really well is they do not do the thing where like, there's the main character is obviously right about everything because she's not.
Yeah.
There is a thing of like, no, this is
Wild.
indicative
This is
of
wild.
a disease, and she's mentally unstable in a lot of bits.
And
And she's right in the important parts, but there's moments such as what I'm about to bring up, where she's like, "You hate me, don't you?" And I'm going like, when did we ever get a moment where you would think that, dude? He has been. I was with him so much on that.
Yeah, same. I
He
was
gets it
honestly
so bad.
confused by myself, but maybe that's the point. I mean,
No. That's I think the point. I think he's because it's part of that like. Because another thing this movie is exploring is like just how bad it is for women at that time. Just any kind of mental thing it's the hysterics. We got to bleed them out.
Yeah.
Literally got to bleed them out, and they do in this movie.
Even her like good love, even Nicholas Holt, like her Jonathan, is like ultimately like pacifying her and like infantilizing, like, oh, I thought we put this behind us, darling. It's, those are just silly fantasies, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Until he literally has to take a trip and get like fucking topped by Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think you're that crazy anymore. Shit's fucked.
Super bad.
Yeah.
Bad. I saw. Can we talk about the first scene that you have, like Nosferatu physically like it's him and Nicholas Holt acting against each other in the ruins of that castle.
And just how much you don't see him. Yeah.
It's beautiful, you guys. Like
this movie's fucking gorgeous. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
It has many long sections of night shots that are like so desaturated. It does look like black and white. So there's like, scenes in the snow, scenes at night that do feel like a black and white movie. And then you get that dark red glow behind Count Orlok. And there's a lot happening with not a lot of dialogue, but it is this
which is
beautiful
his style. Like,
it's this beautiful execution of, he immediately clocks that this is wrong, this is dangerous, I shouldn't be here, but holy shit, that guy is like, if that is a man, it is a huge man and a scary man. Like, and the terror that escalates in that scene as you pull in tighter and tighter on his face, and the vampire is teleporting either side of the it's wonderfully done. So fucking good, you guys. What a performance, a standout.
Nick, is there any part of this movie you want to talk about? Because I have 2 discussions, and 2 of them are the bigger themes of the movie, and I feel like they could take up most of the podcast. So I want to make sure everyone gets a chance to do smaller stuff.
Okay. Oh man. All right. So smaller stuff. I kind of just appreciate, kind of like what you guys talked about, adding his own interpretations of sort of known things about Nosferatu.
Yeah.
The original. So, a lot of famous shots and everything, but I do think the way he uses a lot of the silhouettes and everything, like, it's fantastic. He has like some of my favorite transitions for scenes ever.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's something you can definitely learn from. Like, it's such...
Oh, it adds so much to the supernatural, like, aspect.
Yeah.
In this movie.
Yeah, and like the silhouette of how they like kind of set up how much influence Nosferatu has in a spiritual sense with the shadow, with the silhouette, and it escalating to the end of the movie. Man, I don't know. That's just something I really appreciate visually,
Yeah.
but I think story wise, I don't know, I really dug kind of what you talked about. Like, we mentioned like when they actually get Willem Dafoe's character involved,
Mhm.
and yeah, no, he was great in it. I don't know. There's a lot of smaller stuff, but I think those are definitely the major ones for me. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it does such a good job with just theme and like having everything presented towards a certain direction that I do
Yeah.
feel like if we bring up one thing, it's gonna like eventually we have to. It'll just lead to us talking about the bigger things. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very good at interweaving like everything, and you still enjoying the ride. Like
Yeah.
that's storytelling. That's he's
yeah,
a
I know.
good storyteller. Like
But I do appreciate the way he shows the plague, like how much the city's changing, and I do
Yeah.
like
yeah, how quick too.
how quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went from this
So
crazy, busy, lively market to people
yeah,
getting burned on the street, piles of bodies,
Yeah.
until
yeah,
it's just nothing, and it's just stone cold roads, and
yeah.
yeah,
He brings a pox upon the land type deal.
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, no, I'm with you. I like the escalation a lot in this movie. Which is a lot of what horror is like in terms of pacing. Is how you're
Yes.
just gonna escalate things, and he gets it.
Yeah.
Um, no, it's fantastic. I'm with you. The silhouettes like are so good. It's both a shout out to the directing and like the costuming and just makeup department, getting the actors, making sure their profiles show.
Yeah.
Like you get a real good sense of people's like it's good. This is gonna sound weird about like people's faces
yeah,
in this
Mm.
movie and what shape they are and like how they kind of are framed and everything. The only reason
yeah,
I bring that up is because there's a lot of focus on like Nosferatu's like skull once you
Yeah.
see it, once you actually get to see his face,
yeah,
Yeah.
and how much it looks like just a giant skull, like it's
Mhm.
all flattened out and everything.
yeah.
Um, it's cool. It's cool. No, I'm with you, man. That shit's rad.
One quick question for you both,
Yeah.
because Nick, you touched on Willem Dafoe's amazing appearance in this film when he first is introduced. I don't remember the exact scene. There's many. There's a moment of exposition that William Dafoe is giving, and I do remember just turning to the person next to me in the theater, doing a little chef kiss, just a little. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, love it. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I mean, his big speech when he burns the runes down.
Oh, it's so
Excellent.
good. So good.
Oh yeah,
Tremendous. But I
Real ass
also
fire too. Not no CG fire.
no, that was a real
Yeah.
fire. And then but also I think when he's giving them all instructions on how to help Ellen get through her fits.
Yeah.
But she will rave all night if we do not eat her. Then let her rave. It's
Yeah.
so good, so good.
It's okay, so that leads into my bigger thing because there's two like parts of this movie I want to. There's two like overarching themes, but one of them is obviously about like just a woman regaining power over her life, like
Yeah,
Vag, because her life is wholly haunted as she establishes over and over, and we get at the beginning of the movie of this curse, this demonic curse,
yeah,
um, from Nosferatu, and how much that like plagues her life until she gains love back, like she's loved by another
yeah,
essentially, and everything kind of melts away. Again,
yeah.
playing on that Victorian and Gothic thing of like, once you find a good husband, it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be all hunky dory,
Mm-hmm.
um, type bullshit.
mm,
But and then when he's gone, you're still thinking they're gonna do that. But
Yeah,
once the climax and the resolving of the problem is all
yeah,
her own volition, away from him. And one of the
yes,
only people in this, the only two like people, no, three, I guess, is one, the only other main woman in this movie, the
mm-hmm.
mother of two, who they share that very like, yeah, we're just friends
Are very
scene.
good friends
We're
in
just
bed.
very good friends
Yeah,
type scene
yeah.
in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
unless I'm like reading wrong, you know. But whatever. That's my own hang up then. If I'm wrong, but I don't
No,
know, man.
I
Like,
I mean, I think that so much of this movie is coded in that well, like
yeah,
the first time you actually see a vampire feed, like in the
Mhm.
light,
Yeah.
like it looks
It
like
looks like Nosferatu's topping like
yes,
fight. I
exactly.
literally I told Nick when the credits hit, I'm like, man, this movie invented uh a new form of cuckolding where I'm gonna have sex with you in order to telepathically have sex with your wife.
Oh, you'll see.
Yeah, yeah,
You'll
you'll
see.
see. You'll see.
I
But it's also like a really disturbing shot. Like it's really framed well. Like it's
yeah.
a horror. It's not supposed to be like pleasant to watch.
No,
You know.
no.
Yeah, it is a very, but it is funny if you think about it with the undertone of this is fucking and
The
like type thing.
This film's adaptation of I'd say one of the most famous shots from classic Nosferatu is
Yeah.
Thomas finding the Count's grave and gonna stake him when he's about to try and stake him during the day. Um, and anyway, this version one was shot so well, the tension's amazing. That whole sequence is really good. But two,
Mm-hmm.
I knew the monster fuckers were gonna have a day with that scene.
Yeah.
Ugh. Ugh. All of you, behave yourselves. No, don't. None of that. Anyway,
Even though he's
Yeah, that's
like
not gonna happen.
he's ugly as shit in this movie. Like it's so it's
he
not even like I don't even see well maybe because I'm not a monster fucker guy. So like
yeah,
maybe I
that's
don't see the
Uh-huh.
sexualization in the design, right? Cuz I think
Yeah.
it's so much supposed to look like obviously something that's been alive for too long.
well, he's
Right.
partially rotting, and
He's rotting in the
his
back like yeah.
his body is like malformed. He's
Yeah.
losing muscle tone because he's decomposing probably.
Mhm.
So like he's got like weird almost pig-like lower body and almost
Yeah.
bear-like upper body, like
With like a giant human skull. I can't
yeah.
overstress that how much you're because when you see it, because they utilize those shots with just his either profile or face and like so well, so
I
menacingly. He looks so
I
fucking like he looks so evil. It's great.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah. He he genuinely way more than Bela Lugosi, way more than your
Mhm.
traditional like Dracula. This is a monster movie. He
Yeah,
is monstrous.
yeah,
And
yeah.
his
They must
we
have.
haven't even mentioned his voice.
Oh, his voice is so good. It's
Fuck
so
me.
good in this movie. It's fucking it's music. Like
Yeah.
it's evil haunted music like in this. It
Yeah.
sounds so fucking evil. It sounds
Yeah.
like a ritual is happening every time he's talking. It's like that kind of rhythm. Like it's fucking good. But hang on, before we completely lose the thread of
Sure.
what I'm going
Go ahead.
off of in terms of
Yeah.
regaining power over
Oh yeah.
your own like self-actualization.
Yeah.
Right. It's a lot of we don't believe the woman for so long
Yeah.
until a literal plague has to hit the city and then we go like, yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
except of course the one dude who's been studying this stuff his entire life
hmm
is the only one that's showing her like besides Thomas kindness in the fits.
Human decency. Yeah.
Yeah, human decency being like, oh, let's not tie her up. Let's not do this. I'm going to
Yeah.
talk to her. I'm like I'm going to talk to her. I'm going to listen. I'm going to be there.
How absurd!
How
I've never
absurd of a
heard.
concept. And she says her whole thing, and yeah, it's like on paper you're like, yeah, it's crazy, but you're getting this true feeling of she fully believes this, man. It's a genuine fear that she's having. And of course the seizures are real. Like they feel like that.
And the fantasy is corroborated by
Mm-hmm.
another guy in the asylum down
Yeah.
the way that your buddy works at. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's much about that. It's very much like, and we'll get to that ending,
Mhm.
but before we get there, what was the other one bit? Fuck, dude, I just lost it. There was another big thing I wanted to talk about in this movie, and
Uh,
fuck me if I'm not gonna remember it. I might just go to what the ending is, but
okay.
yeah, fuck it. I'm just looking at time either way. So the ending, their solution, right,
Yeah.
is to trick Thomas and the men to go
Yeah.
on to go on a monster hunt, torches
Yes.
and everything,
Yes.
to the grave, and it's obvious, and it's a mislead by
Yeah.
set up by William Defoe's character,
Yeah.
and oh my god, is it Helen? I keep fucking up this name.
Ellen.
Ellen. I was close, and and Ellen, to be like, okay, we both know because we know our shit. We both
Yeah.
know that's not the solution. This is just to buy you time,
Yeah.
so you can trick him, seduce him,
Yeah.
and trick him into doing it using his own like lust for you. And as
Yeah.
we find out, yeah, it's not they Nosferatu's not a liar in this movie. He tells everything with a haunting like truth to it.
Yeah.
Um and explicitly says like no, it's not love, it's just I like it's a lust or a yearning that's can only be satisfied by you in particular. But there is no
Yeah.
love here. this is
It's
it's all a power dynamic, right?
there's a beautiful line where she
Yeah.
does say like she's defending Thomas and saying how good he is to her, and you know
Yeah.
that he is the good love that helped her, and she says you are incapable of love, and I think his response is
Mhm.
something like I am but appetite,
Yeah.
which is fuck solid.
Yeah, it
So
is.
good.
Literally.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Well, Nosferatu.
So before
Mhm.
before I finish describing this ending scene of how they do that,
Yes.
right? I
Yeah.
remember I'm gonna bring up Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
I know, yeah, it's a little weird. Give me a sec. Especially as someone who did not watch Game of Thrones,
You know,
Mhm.
but
you
I
knew
know
better.
the ending
Good
because
for you.
people wouldn't shut up about it.
Yeah.
And this doesn't bother me one bit for anyone who gives a shit. Like
Yeah.
this doesn't bother me one bit. I'm never gonna watch it. I had no interest. It's
Mhm.
definitely not this. I would probably like the writing if I got into the show, but like, Ian and Nick know it takes a lot for me to get into like fantasy, medieval
Yeah.
fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but I know the ending and spoilers for season 10 of Game of
8.
Thrones or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which is what? It's Jon Snow and is her name
His
Daenerys?
Yeah, his aunt lover Daenerys.
Yeah. Again, I worked with people who were super into this shit once when it was happening.
Anyone shut up.
Yeah, no. So I know the ending to a core, which is they're fucking and like
Yes.
they're the last two for the throne.
Yeah.
And they're fucking and and you think it's supposed to be like, oh, they're gonna share the throne or whatever.
Mhm.
In the one last sex scene of the show. And Jon Snow murders her while like at climax
Mhm.
or something.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a betrayal. It's supposed to be super shocking. It's also this weird precedence in movies. And I'm sure I'm gonna butcher this, so please go look up this type of trope, which
Yeah.
is just the thing of man murdering woman during sex type deal.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, because a lot of it boils down. There's a lot of aspects going there, but a lot of it boils down to, uh, you only use women for carnal pleasures or sex.
Right.
You want something out of them. Once you're done as a man, your job is to throw them away
Right.
or
Yeah.
kill them, and murdering's fine type
Right.
deal. It's a real fucked up trope. It happens so much, it's weird.
Yeah.
When I looked up, like, where it appears. Happens in books all the time, but it's also this thing in like fiction and media where again the
Mhm.
women are just like objects or a stepping stone for a male character,
Yeah.
right? There's something for
Yeah.
them to gain, to learn, or to move on, and the gates.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's a flipping of this trope in this movie, which
Yeah.
is the woman. our main protagonist,
Mm.
she more or less seduces him. I mean, it's seduction. This whole thing's like all obviously about sex, and like
Yes.
as power, and she's regaining her power back in that sense, like by
Mhm.
using him and keeping him in that coitus until
Yes.
sunrise. The only thing that can kill him
Yeah.
is sunlight.
Yeah.
In fact,
Yeah.
you get the moment where you're like, yeah, she's obviously about to die, but she's still
Mhm.
like, no, keep sucking the blood.
Keep going.
And as
Yeah.
he's feeding, because he's killed more or
Enraptured
less
with.
by the unless. We know how
Yeah.
crazy obsessive he is, so it's
Yes.
easy.
Yeah.
In a great
Yeah.
death scene, like it's so
Oh.
Awesome.
it's so good. It's so easy to make a death face like goofy.
Yes.
It's real. It's like one of my biggest problems with a lot of like analog horror stuff today. Even though I know things are getting a little better, where
Mhm.
like they'll just show a face. I mean, you know what, that's happened throughout. It's not just analog horror, whatever. Where
Yeah.
they'll show a face and that's supposed to be creepy, and to me, it's just that's pretty goofy looking. That's
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
but this is like, wow, that looks like death, and that looks
Yeah.
real good. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
the sunlight, it's just cool. She's, she's gained, she's done it her own way. She's regained
Yes.
power over her life and got rid of this curse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she goes out a hero in all this.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely so. Definitely so.
Of
And
not losing the one thing she holds dear in her life, which is Thomas. Again, of flipping on the main character trope of, the man doesn't lose the one thing he holds dear, which is his love and or kids.
yes.
Type deal.
Yes. There's
So
definitely like a light and dark motif, not only in the literal but in the metaphoric sense. Because like before Ellen takes that last adventurous thing, she's in all white.
mhm.
So when Dracula bites into her heart directly, we see like a beautiful ring of blood,
Yeah.
press through her nightgown.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I think that there's two scenes in the movie, and again, but hey, folks, spoilers that are directly being paralleled to this, and I think tie exactly to what Chris just said thematically. But we get it's not just a visual; it's a visual callback one to the first blood sucking that we saw.
Yeah.
There's him pounced on top of her, pinning her down, but then there's also
Well, obviously an allegory for rape, because it is.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, but then there's also the kind of scene where they have where she's having her crisis of, I think it's her crisis of faith moment with Thomas of, oh, did he really give up on me? Does he really this one testing of the where she basically like goads him into some pretty aggressive sexual play, but they shoot all of those fairly similarly to each other. So I think there's a consistent through line in the visual language that's like, no, these are equivalent or similar or the same idea that we're coming back to of sex and power and life and death and that kind of thing. Yeah.
But it's also like showing, because it's also meant to throw mental instability.
Yeah.
Like and all that.
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm definitely gonna be thinking about this movie more and more.
Mhm.
Because usually we give some time between podcasts, between the recording, but just so happens that Nick and I had to watch it this morning.
Right.
For those who care, this is like recorded on December 26th, so shit's busy. And like
too much to do in this month already.
Yeah.
Yep.
As it is. Yeah.
And we decided to make it a lot more difficult.
Mhm.
That was kind of the big thing I got out of it. I'm gonna think about it a lot bit more. Is there any other big themes y'all want to talk about before we move into just the question what we got out of it? Just because again, I'm looking at time here.
Sure.
We're recording another one, by the way. You already know that if you're
if you're on this call, you already know that.
Yeah, if you're watching this shit, you already know that there's another episode.
Oh yeah.
I guess I'll just throw a few more compliments out really quick to the supporting cast in this, because the cast is excellent, and the actor, Nicholas Holtz, Miss Depp, Anna Taylor-Johnson, those main actors, they're amazing. I hope to God Willem Dafoe gets nominated for this act because I think it's one of his strongest perform. It's really damn good in this movie.
It is really good.
Yeah.
I think also, well, I mean, I think Bill Skarsgård and especially Lily Rose also need a nomination for this shit, dude. This is A+. Like in my head. I feel like Bill Skarsgård, that's Count Orlok. You're lost into that. He has everything right down to the mannerisms, the delivery, oh my god, that's acting.
Skarsgård took a character with a big white mustache and kept him scary to me. I didn't know that they could take that from the novel and make it work.
Yeah.
And they did. Yeah. Oh my god. Holy shit.
It's like a Turkish style mustache. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great. And Lily, it's Lily Rose, right?
Yeah.
Am I getting that right? Yeah, she's like, I described it as like hamming it up Victorian style, because it seems like, like what a lot of actors want to be when they first start acting. I want to play a Victorian character in a play type thing. Is it? But she adds so much depth to this character and just like beyond just like, oh, I have mental instabilities or I'm haunted or I'm like cursed.
Right.
It's the way she can transition between like different just deliveries and like mannerisms in both her face and all that. And like, I don't know if she's doing some of the more physical bits like the seizures or that like where William Dafoe's like exercising her. But if she is, fucking great, because those were like really intense and really shocking. Those must have legitimately hurt, like, because it's just 0 to 100, like short minutes. That monologue she's giving, where she's becoming mentally and trying to, and committing like this own form of trying to gain power over. I mean, honestly, this whole movie could be just an allegory for like, power dynamics in a rape situation, and like that's a whole other way to write the movie. Yeah, and how she's doing that monologue towards Thomas, and like her body language and all that in every little line.
Yeah.
I think she needs a nomination for that. Like if in a just world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no argument here. I absolutely. I think, God, it's such an amazing thing because it does go from innocent, mousy to commanding to randy to like she's hitting you with a lot. Really quick, we don't have to have a whole discussion about it. But the brother-in-law, the character played by Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Frederick, did he fuck his dead wife? Did he?
To me, it looked like it because whenever they do the leg thing, that's supposed to be fucking.
Yeah. Okay. So this movie has a lot of love and death themes one. Yeah. Anyway.
Sex in many different forms.
Yeah.
And then also like rape, so be ready for that for content warning.
Yeah.
Okay. Super sorry about that. We ran into a technical difficulty. We're gonna get back on track now. So real quick, last thing you want to say was cool in the movie before we get into what we got out of it. Rapid fire. Go, Nick.
The crazy, like, the way they do like the flip of characters' profiles.
Yeah.
So it's like one giant motion. That was sick.
I like that too.
All the sex scenes were as uncomfortable as it gets. I didn't. There's nothing enjoyable, but there is a lot to think about.
Yep. Ian, go.
I just want to me and Nick talked a little bit earlier about how beautiful the final shot of this picture is. It's a masterpiece. There's many frames in this flick that's like a painting that I would gladly frame. and I may just make a set of some of these stills because they are amazing. But
Yeah.
that shot of, it's a visual depiction of innocence and evil, love and death. It's wow. It's strong. It's a strong image. Loved that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I'm with you. The shots are amazing. The one last thing I'll say with it is this is the closest we're gonna get to Bloodborne, except for that one wolf movie from the 2000s that where they actually based a costume off of.
Oh, Underworld, right?
No, God,
That's
you
what
and
I
Nick.
said. That's what I said.
Oh, you and Nick.
Because it's like,
dude.
no, it never
This
happened.
is a
That
this is
never
an
happened.
obscure.
Bloodborne's
Okay.
too good for that. Bloodborne's too good.
Okay.
The
It has everything: straps, guns,
Brotherhood of the
wolves,
Wolf.
a knight,
You uneducated
gothic-
swine.
Oh my god! You shoot a guy in a wheelchair.
Look it
it's got
up.
everything,
Brotherhood
Chris.
of the Wolf. That's
What about Dark City?
the costume.
What about
That's the
Dark City?
costume
You
you're
think-
doing.
Ooh, Dark City. Okay.
No, it's not Dark City. No. Anyway,
Then which one?
I just said Brotherhood of the Wolf. You were going off of the fucking
Oh, yeah,
random
you said
shit.
it was Wolf Blank. You didn't say it was Blank Wolf.
That's true, but that was like hours ago, Nick. That was a different person.
Oh, you
And
get a
like-
freebie because you said it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, but I said it's Wolf something. You said Underworld. We're both
You
wrong
can
on this.
understand
Nick,
our confusion.
All right, whatever. What'd you get out of it, Nick?
I got out of it a very horny, provocative movie,
Yeah,
and I think
Yeah.
it's a great indicator of ravishment,
Mhm.
of what it means to love a monster.
It's not love. They purposely like. I'm gonna be real. If you conflate any of this stuff with love, that is you got to warp. You don't understand what love is. Like,
Well, Chris, you don't know this audience. You don't
no, I
what's
know
out
they're
there
fucked.
for the feral.
I do think that the movie posits that love is the counter to evil. Her being
Yes.
a loving, kind, good
100%.
person is
Mhm.
the thing that undermines.
Actual love. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
So I'm
but
right, yeah.
I'm thinking of those. I'm afraid of that like whole thing of like people are like, oh, Thanos really loved his daughters
No, he did.
from the movie. You're
Well-
like, you didn't get that fucking scene at all, dude. It was all like they are products.
It's
Another
balanced out.
example of the women in your life, even your own daughter, is a product for you to, or like an object for you to use
Let's.
for like for
I'm
visuals.
I'm going to make a strong statement related
Yeah.
to this right now, just because of a forum post I recently read.
Okay.
If you're somebody who watches The Boys and says, "Wow, Homelander's brave enough to say what I'm thinking all the time," well, I don't want to talk to you. You're not
What do
a
you
part of
mean
the
by that?
audience I want to talk to.
What do you mean by that?
There was a guy who said, like, his basic post was, "It's
Yeah,
so
like-
refreshing to see somebody who fulfills like the power fantasy we all have to really
Yeah.
put women." Yeah, what?
But
Yeah.
when he
I
says,
just, no. I gotta check both of you right now. You guys are both doing the thing of there was a guy on the internet and he said this thing about a movie. We don't give him the time. What the fuck?
hang on,
Who
Chris.
gives a shit?
Hang on. Hang on.
Keep listening to our podcast and click like and subscribe to.
Don't listen to that internet guy. Listen to this internet
Yeah,
guy.
listen to
Now,
this internet guy.
guy.
He's the internet guy.
Yeah.
We gotta get him.
He got your back. No, I get
Listen,
you.
man, there's a reason this is titled "What You Got Out of It," right? Because
Yeah.
that's both towards the audience. That's what
Yeah.
actually fucking matters. Like,
Yeah.
what did Chris get out of it? Thank you, Nick, for asking.
Yeah.
I started this podcast by saying this movie's about a toxic couple who bring all the fucking bullshit into everyone's lives, and they have to deal with it to the point where a city must die.
Yes.
Same thing. We're saying the same thing, yeah.
Do you guys stand by that?
The same thing. Well, also we touched upon what I think the overarching theme is, which is like very much, or what this movie's getting showing, which is taking back, your own power over your own body
Agency.
and like through sexual conquest and all, do all
Yeah.
this stuff, regaining your own not self-actualization. This is a different word I'm looking for. Whatever, power over your own body.
For gentlemen, for the director writer Robert Eggers,
Yeah.
is he batting 4 for 4? I would say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Granted, now saying that for people out there who are Eggers fans, eggheads as we call them.
Yeah.
This is far and none, in my opinion, the most straightforward movie.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
But I mean, but it's also like a retelling of this too. So like, I get that. I'm gonna get if you don't get the full like almost psychedelic sometimes levels of editing he does sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's there. It's good. Okay, so that's what we got out of it. Sorry for rushing. We are in crunch mode right now. What do y'all recommend to everyone to go check out, having listened to this podcast and and watch this movie? Ian, you go first. You sound like you got something.
Yeah, I do have something. I mean, definitely if you liked this movie and you think you might want to get something more experimental, try Robert Eggers' other movies, The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman.
The Vavitch,
The Vavitch, as we say.
Fair warning for the Vavitch. People are. It was very much like advertised as a horror movie. That is not a horror movie. That is a Victorian. What's it called?
Colonial.
There's a name when it's like a setting piece. You know,
period piece.
Period piece. There you go.
Yes.
It is a colonial period piece with supernatural elements.
Yeah.
But it's a period piece. It is not a horror movie.
Yeah. No. There's another one that's honestly kind of thematically circling similar themes that I'd recommend, and I would also exercise very strong caution. It's a pretty touchy subject. It's an Ari Aster short film.
Okay.
The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. It is a horror film that is social horror. It is an abuse story basically, but it's subverting your expectations in that it's a son, like an adolescent son abusing his parents, and it is. I mean, if you like Ari Aster and you understand his ability to indulge morbid thoughts, this is like one of the most morbid. I think one of the most morbid things I've ever watched. The sexual themes are pretty grim.
Yeah.
But if you can have a stomach for that kind of material and you want to talk about it, it's a pretty interesting movie. It was his thesis film for AFI Conservatory. So I mean, it's a pretty well received one. But damn it, if it's not pitch black, it is a nasty subject. But yeah, what about you guys?
Got it. Nick, what would you recommend?
You know what? I think because given what we sort of discussed of bringing back old known stories, I think there's a sort of uniqueness when you take a known story and proceed to interpret it in a way that it becomes its own creation.
Right.
And that's how I would describe The Mysteries.
Ooh.
Let's focus. Let it focus. They won't focus.
It's doing that camera. Yeah, it's doing the face thing.
Oh, right here. Yeah. This porn right here. Mysteries by Bill Watterson and John Cush. So they're actually both artists I've followed for a bit in their own lines of work. John Cush is a very famous caricature, like over the decade artist. Even have one of his books on caricature artists. And Bill Watterson's, Bill Watterson with Calvin and Hobbes, and he was both of them were people that went on their own ways with their artwork, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. So to come back in a new book of the Mysteries, which without spoiling is kind of what we discussed, but in a more like cerebral, more like ethereal context of what it means to trying to find purpose in myth. It's a fascinating thing. It's very minimal, both script and visually. But what you're kind of left with is a piece of art and a piece of a story that's it's sort of this weird, both meta and direct commentary on what it means, about mythos and what we take from it.
Okay.
I don't know, like it's one of those things that like it's so minimal where there's not much to talk about literally, but if you were to have interpretation, there's a lot. So yeah, The Mysteries by Bill Watterson, John Kosh. I just absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, no, I can't wait to read that. Especially because it's like 20 years, right? Yeah.
Again, I can't tell you what it's about because that's what.
Absolutely. Yeah, go read the book. It's short.
Yeah.
It's really
Shoot, I don't even think it's that expensive. Like online, I think it was like $10 or something. And it's super nice. Go buy it. I would recommend, just off the top of my head, Emily Carroll's Through the Woods, which is a graphic novel with a very similar setting. A woman in a Victorian era, and yeah, very much about like control over their own body in terms of but it's more of a haunting rather than vampires. Even though there is gore in that book, it's a horror graphic novel, and it's legitimately scary while also being strikingly. The art's very striking and beautiful, like at the same time. And haunting. If you like a lot of the way shots are framed in Nosferatu, you'll dig this shit. A lot more color, but like a great use of negative space and just blacks in the coloring. Yeah, and that'll do it. Sorry for the quick end. We're just like very time crunch. We hope you all have a happy new year. And if you're listening to this, go listen to the Sonic 3 podcast that's also out today.
Yeah.
Go check that out. We're about to record that right now. So we'll see you over there. Any just like quick announcements like we mentioned before. The next two podcasts, which will be January 15th and January 31st, January 15th, will be our own personal top 10s for the year. Just top 10 things, whatever it is that we liked throughout the year. Could be anything, even personal experiences. And then January 31st is the Clash. I don't know what I'll call it yet. Where we take everything that we've reviewed or talked about on this podcast, each subject, and pit them together to find out what was the best, what we got out of it what we got out of it, discussed media of 2024. My bets are gonna be like Fast 10 is gonna get us. No, we'll see what happens. Anyway, goodbye. Good night.
Bye.